Hey guys, welcome back to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben. Each week I check out an episode of the Ewoks show and review it here on the channel for you guys. It's a first time watch for me. I've never seen the show before. I'm having tons of fun with it. But quick spoiler alert. Before we start discussing it, please be warned. I'll be talking about the storyline and the characters. So turn away now if you didn't watch it. You don't want any spoilers. And later on, please come by, drop your comment in the video section below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And as always, I always appreciate your support, guys. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and watch out for the next episode review coming next week. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. This episode right away begins with a very interesting title, The Tree of Light. I knew right away it's going to be a very magical sort of episode, something extraordinary is going to happen. And of course, we begin in a Bright Tree Village, where the Ewoks are watching the storm pass over the village, and it signifies something very, very important. We know now that there is this night spirit, this shadowy being on planet Endor, and in order to chase it away, what the Ewoks must do is restore the Tree of Light. And of course, our brave Ewoks, Paplu, Wichi, and Tibor are tasked with that mission. Chief Logray presents them these magical items. He says, look, here's the light dust, which you must sprinkle over the bottom of the tree. And here is the magical lantern to guide your pathway. Right away, I'm loving this stuff, guys, because right from the beginning of this episode, the premise is set up very clearly. And I think it is very important for children, and even for us, for adults who are watching this stuff, maybe along with your kids, or even for you by yourself, just to have a little bit of fun. It narrows down what the episode is going to be about. It gives you a clear idea what the mission is, what our brave Ewoks are supposed to accomplish, and we go right from there. And it's a very clear imagery between the good and the evil, just like in the original trilogy of Star Wars, and it's a thematic that we see consistently throughout all of Star Wars. And I really enjoy these mythological motifs because it's almost like a rite of passage for the Ewoks. They must perform this brave task for their village in order for everything to be well. And as I discussed in my previous reviews of other episodes, I really enjoy how Ewoks work as a community. Every member, whether it's a child or an adult, somebody always has to contribute something. They can't coexist without each other. They work as one unit, and I really, really enjoy that. So there's this spiritual component to the show, but there's also this, they tap into, once again, this spiritual beliefs. They believe in goodness, but they also understand there's these evil spirits, and in order to protect their village, they must perform this task. Of course, our main Ewok, Wicket, he wants to go along. He's like, hey, not fair. I want to tag along too. And I kind of felt for him. I understood where he's coming from. Guys, he's useful. He's been useful in the previous episodes. How come he's not joining the gang? There's one Ewok there, which is basically like the same height as Wicket. You could tell there's probably like a year or 2 years of difference between the two. One probably just graduated to that point where he can be on the team and be a part of this, right? But Wicket can't, and he's really, really upset about it. More so, also the girls are like questioning this decision. It's like, hey, how come we can't go? Nisa and Latara, they want to tag along too, but the villager is saying that, look, hold on, Logray says, only boys must participate in this particular task. And they're like, huh? Why can't we join? So they're separating here. There's a separation of labor. Boys perform their tasks, girls perform their tasks. And we're going to see how that turns out by the end of the episode. Anyway, we cut away and we're in the Duloc village. Guys, I'm loving the next moment. King of Dulocs is standing there, garnished. He's like, oh, what a wonderful stormy day. I'm loving this. Obviously, he has to be opposite of Ewoks. If they enjoy the sunny shade and they enjoy the warm weather and when everything is blooming and good, he's got to like the opposite stuff. He likes storms, he likes destruction, because he's your bad guy. That's what he's going to like. And he says, I have a plan. We need for the night spirit to prevail. He's obviously on our side. And he tasks his henchmen, go and delay the Ewoks. And I will personally handle myself the rest of it. This time we will win. We'll be victorious. Really, really fun little moment there. He's enjoying all of that storm blowing in his face while the henchman is like, okay, sir, whatever you say. He's like shaking in his boots. He doesn't want to go out, step outside of the cave. He's like, I'm good over here. I don't want to go in the storm. That was pretty interesting exchange there. Anyway, our Ewoks set on their adventure. They get to this bridge, which once again, I think it's a very, very interesting symbolic scene there. It's a show intended for children, and it literally shows the children this is the rite of passage. This is how you become brave. This is how you become stronger by having your friends by your side, but also crossing over the bridge, making that dangerous journey. And as they're passing the bridge, they drop the magical lantern. Who is there to pick it up? Wicket. He gave them a little bit of scare earlier in the forest with his shadowy kind of like silhouette. They're like, oh, all the Ewoks run away. Like, what is this? There's a monster. He's there. He proves himself. He says, look, I might be young, but I am Wicket. I helped you guys before. I'm helping out now. What's going on here? Can I please tag along? Maybe I can carry the lantern. It's like, okay, whatever. The elders kind of like have him tag along because they're not going to just leave him in the middle of nowhere, right? So they cross the bridge. They enter the cave. Whittle panics, and the brothers run off. There's a strange figure in pursuit. That's actually, we're talking about Wicket. That's a little bit early in the episode. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting a little bit of mixed up in my timeline. But we saw that little scare, how he chases them in the caverns. That was just a pure Dungeons and Dragons adventure to me, right? That little scene before the bridge, and even after the bridge. Because before the bridge, it looks like they're entering like the depth of the tree somewhere. And after the bridge, they actually enter like a rock cavern. But all of it felt like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. It's like, hey, which way do we go? We have to make the next decision. What's happening here? And of course, the elders are not listening to Wicket. Weechi says like, I know the pathway. I'm sure of myself. While Wicket says, the lamp is showing us the way. He's a child, but he's being very attentive and brave. He says, look, we gotta look at the lamp. Chief Lorgrey gave it to us for a reason. The adults are not listening. He's like, we're gonna go this way. And they start making circles in the cave. They're obviously stuck. In the meantime, we also see another odd couple is entering this cave. It's a Dulak henchman and his nephew, an uncle and a nephew. And how are they going to navigate inside the cave? They don't have a magic lamp. The Dulak whips out these 3D goofy looking glasses like, I know the way. And the first thing that he does, he stumbles into a tree. By this time, I'm laughing. I'm having so much fun with this show. Guys, like the Ewoks show honestly turns you into a kid. If you grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons like Disney shows in the 80s, in the 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just pure enjoyment and fun, and it's just so exciting to watch. Not to mention that this episode is absolutely brilliant once again, with awesome art, beautiful animation. When they enter the cave and they're like shining the lantern on the darkness, and you see the light kind of like cascade and go from rock to rock, like all over the top ceiling. The animation is just on point, man. It's such beautifully animated show. I think briefly, I checked out one of the reviews. I think it was IGN or someplace else, that the professional critics were saying that the Ewok show, the reason it didn't last more than 2 seasons is that it was unremarkable. I'm like, really? What are you talking about, guys? Are you serious? How can you not notice this stuff? The art is amazing in this show, and the episode is so focused on the story that it wants to tell. I really, really loved it. It was very easy to follow along, and you always knew the kind of ideas they're showing you. Anyway, the Dulaks are there. There's just two dummies, the uncle and the nephew. They don't know what the heck they're doing. So as they enter and they want to spring this little trap there, we have another couple entering the cave, right? The girls, Letara and Nisa, they join in. They're like, they just couldn't stay away. They also want to help. They want to be helpful to their village. They want to feel important, that they also contribute to their community. And I could understand them very well. And once again, I love this element where these young girls are challenging the status quo, what is and isn't allowed, and they're going to prove that they're just as worthy as the boys. They're just as smart, just as resourceful. Very important role models for girls, and I think for children in general. You know, when you're 5, 6 years old, we can say that kids are pretty much the same, that we're androgynous before, right? Before the hormones start kicking in and they start making that kind of like difference and start feeling different inside. We're all tuned into the same thing. I'm pretty sure when you were a kid at some point and you had like a sister or a cousin, you tried to play around with her doll as well, because all children are interested in play. all children want to prove to the adults that, hey, we are worthy too. Please pay attention to us. And that is what is happening here. And this is why I really like Latara and Nisa's little journey. And I adore Nisa's character design. I've discussed it in my previous review. I really, really enjoy how she was drawn. And I actually went to the Wikipedia page on Star Wars, and I figured out that she's quite a prominent character in the expanded universe, which I didn't know about. She's very, very popular. And there's a lot of art that you could see that doesn't just look like it's from this particular show and looks for kids. There's more realistic renderings of this character by the fantasy artists, and really, really, she looks cool. Anyway, the girls are tagging along. They go in and they stumble in these two Duloc dummies. What happens next? The girls prevail. They're faster, they're quicker, and they're smarter than these Dulocs, and they win. And of course, they reunite with the boys. Of course, the elders have to question it just for a moment. It's like, girls, what are you doing here? You were supposed to stay home, but they tag along. Anyway, the Ewoks are making it to this really, really interesting part of the episode. We get to the floating tree valley. Right away, I'm sitting there like, oh man. Imagining myself to be 5 or 6 years old, this would probably blow my mind. It's just so imaginative and cool. Makes you wonder just for a second, like, hey, are we still on Andor? Yes, we are. It's a children's show. It's full of magic and all of these familiar motifs that are not necessarily part of Star Wars canon, but they're part of that larger fantasy storytelling that all kids can easily identify with and say Ewoks and magic and floating trees. Yeah, give it to us all. It's all fun and games. So they get to this floating tree place and they got to figure out how to start moving. And they make these little paddles and they start paddling like a ship would in the sea. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's interesting. Dulocs in pursuit. They overtake the Ewoks and everybody's captured. Who are the first ones to break free? That's right. Wicket and Nisa. They break their ropes. Argument to be made, they're smaller, their bodies are a little bit more compact. It's easier for them to untangle the ropes and get out of there. But they have no time to save the rest of their friends. They gotta chase off the Dulocs because the chieftain and all these villainous guys, they stole the magical dust that which the Ewoks need to restore the tree, right? It's a great peril now. The Dulocs are on their way to completely destroy the tree. And as they land, Wicket and Nisa once again prove just how useful they are, and they start fighting the chieftain, and they take over the dust, and they're on their way to save the tree. But the Dulocs are doing something really, really terrible. For a moment there, I felt like, oh man, this is so frightful. Once again, children watching this could be like, oh no, what's going to happen next? It really puts you on the edge of your seat. A testament to the show, once again, how a simple plot line can be so powerful when it's well told. We see these Dulocs are pulling on the magical tree, and you sort of look at it and you see it as devoid of its power, and it's on the brink of just collapsing. It was such a tense little moment there, and I liked it. And it's like, oh, all the Dulocs are doing the evil thing. Of course, the rest of the Ewoks make it to the island, to the mountain. They get to the top. A whole kind of fight ensues. They start fighting each other, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, of course, this tree is restored. They sprinkled it. Beautiful, beautiful visual effect. Once again, in terms of animation and art, just stellar stuff across the board. I'm loving the show on that front. And I really loved that visual element when the tree is restoring the island and the land, and you see the grass and flowers, everything is growing there, and the color palette is changing from this grim, dark, and dead wasteland to this colorful and vibrant world. Dulocs are running away from that. They're literally running away from goodness. They see all of that magic at work and like, we can't stand this. Back to our swamp, back to our terrible looking place. I really, really like that. It's reinforcing your story with visual storytelling aspect. It's not in the text. The Dulocs, the Ewoks don't necessarily have to announce everything. You're shown the stuff. You're shown the magical properties of the tree. Very, very useful stuff. And now we're finally back at the village. The whole assembly is there. The rite of passage was successful, and all of the heroes, the adults of this journey, are presented with these shiny magical feathers. But what about our real heroes? Nisa, Litara, Wicket, they helped a great deal. Without them, this mission would not be a success. And of course, once again, one moment here that I really like how adults punctuated. They first kind of a little bit talk down to the Ewoks and say, well, you have not listened, you disobeyed our tradition, our orders, kind of signifying that there is repercussions and there's consequence for everything that you do in life. So you have to be responsible for whatever you do. But in this particular case, you see how noble Ewok creatures are. They're not going to leave it just where it is. They say, but, however, because you were so brave and you were so helpful, I have no choice. Even I, the chief of the village, right, the chieftain of the village, I have to recognize your bravery and present you with these magical feathers as well. Beautiful conclusion to this episode. It brings all of it together. It makes the show so consistent. It makes you believe in the Ewok village, in their tribe, in their tradition, in their spiritual lifestyle, because it's reinforced from episode to episode. You really get a sense of community. You really get a sense that they believe in a greater power. They want to do good to the environment, to the place where they live on, right, the Endor, and they will always fight the evil, and the good will always prevail. This is just fantastic, brilliant stuff for adults and their children, all Star Wars fandom across the board to sit down and watch the show. Guys, this episode once again gets straight 4 out of 4 score from me. I can't stress enough how much I'm digging this show. I'm not just saying it just for the channel, just so I could drop a video review out there. I'm really enjoying it. You know, as somebody who studied traditional animation, I thought that at one point in my life I would be a traditional animator doing this for a living. Unfortunately, I pursued another career after college, but for somebody who studied this art form for years of my life, I really appreciate what was done here. It looks beautiful, it's well written. Each Ewok that you see on screen has a job to play in this particular episode. Each villain really adds that bad, evil component, and it's really rewarding to see how the good prevails in this episode. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out my review. I really hope you enjoyed it. Also, let me know what you thought of this particular episode and with the show overall. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate all of your support, and I'll meet you guys later next week with my next review. Take care.